Yes, still talking about sports this morning. We have our guest with us in the studio, and we're talking about a special kind of football. Now, American football is a very popular kind of sport in America. It's non-contact variation flag football, and that's what we'll be talking about today. It's gaining traction worldwide, and Nigeria is not left out. It's a kind of football unique in its own sense. For a person to be eligible of participation in the sport, he or she must have great speed, among other requirements. The sport presents unique opportunities for the development of youth all over the world, and there have been reports of growing participation, which has made it possible for it to be included in the Olympic Sports 2028. Now, will Nigeria be represented or not? What are the challenges? These and many more we will be discussing today. We have stakeholders in the studio with us. Don't go anywhere. We want to show you what their profile frame looks like before we go right into the discussion. Just relax and watch this. So when I said to you that we have the stakeholders here with us in the studio, you see, we are not joking. We're talking about flag football this morning, the challenges, the future of flag football in Nigeria, and opportunities for youth, maybe whatever gender, the male, the female. Because when you hear flag football, you want to begin to wonder maybe it's masculine alone, but I kid you not, it's for both of the genders. Welcome with me to the studio this morning, the president of Nigerian American Football Association, NAFA, Babajide Akeredolu, and his colleague here, the Secretary General in person of Babajide, Lawrence. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. And I must mention that we have the honor to have may God continue to rest his soul, the former governor of Ondo State, late Rotimi Akeredolu's son, in the studio with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you, and well done with what you are doing. Well done, well done. Flag football, where do we start from? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, they've not heard that flag football. If I was on the pitch that day, I was wondering, please, what is going on? I had to be asking somebody, please, what's really is going on? Because it took concentration and everything
to understand.
Just tell our viewers about flag football.
So let me start off with what you said. Most people, when they think about American football, the first thing they say is rugby.
Rugby.
Right?
You know, I said that.
And that tends to be one of our biggest problems, differentiating what's in rugby and American football in general.
Okay.
Of course, everybody, when you hear, oh, that game that they hit themselves, you say, well, that is American football.
Yeah.
But now, imagine if there are no pads, but this time you're pulling flags from your waist to represent contact. You know, so it's a game of strategy around, it's a team of players, somebody's trying to throw the ball to another individual, and there's another team that's trying to stop you from catching the ball. And so the way I'd say it is, you know, you're trying to throw a ball for someone to catch, you have someone that's playing catcher with you to pull a flag from your waist. That's how I tend to explain the sport. So it's around, the strategy is how do you prevent this person from moving down the field. You know, we don't have a goalpost like soccer or football. But you have this big space at the back that's called the end zone where you can score. So the goal is, I need to throw the ball to someone to catch and enter that space. The other team is, I need to make sure that person either doesn't catch it or I pull the flag from his waist before he enters that space. And that's the sport. It's that simple. I mean, there's more to it, but the basic,
the layman's. You want to say something?
Throw and catch and catch.
That's the layman's definition or explanation to this kind of sports. Oh my God, it's just so sad we don't have the dry run. We would have love
to see
you know what it looks like. You could have sent us one of those things and we would have just played it
so that we can easily relate
with it, because even I was on one of the pitches and I was just looking like I was looking and I wasn't seeing. You know the way you are looking and you're not seeing. So this kind of this flag football. When did we start? Playing flag football in Nigeria. How old is it in Nigeria? And let's say how far?
So I would argue that flag football maybe 2017. So before flag football there was the normal American football, and Lawrence Secgen and his team, the Lagos Marines, they were basically pioneers of playing American football in Nigeria. Fast forward to some time in 2016, 2017, it was a group of people then led by Bimbo that started playing flag football, and a few of us all joined too, because I was not in Nigeria then. When I moved back, that was my sport. So I'm like, oh, so they're playing flag in Lagos. Let's go play. Right? So we all started to play. Then I think there was a realization for us at that point that, look, if we want this thing to grow exponentially, we need to change strategies and focus on the grassroots. And to do that, then we reached out to the people that played tackle football, and we said, guys, look, let's come together, right? And let's build this association that would really focus on the grassroots development of the sport. And that was when we established NAFA in 2019. Once NAFA was established, then we were like, the only way to do this grassroots thing properly is work with Lagos State Sports Commission. And that's how, we grew. When we saw those numbers, about 450,000, is thanks to Lagos State and just going to schools fast enough and just to introduce as many people to the sport. And so 2017 and then 2019 was when NAFA was established to really exponentially grow the sport.
Okay, let's ask how acceptable has it been? Maybe Lawrence can come in here. How acceptable has it been since 2017, 2019 till date? That's about we're looking about roughly about 6 years now. To about
yeah.
how acceptable. How far have you
So,
gone?
so that's a very, very interesting topic because even recently, if you go to schools in Lagos State, let me use Lagos as a major.
Yeah, as
If
a
you go
case
to
study.
schools, yeah, if you go to schools now, you will see them practicing flag football.
Wow.
So it has gone to that level where we don't even need to be there, and the sport is already on its own taking that interest in the children, and that's not anything more to say to say the opportunities in flag football or American football as a sport is so wide. So, and then I mean everyone can play. The girls can play, the boys can play. They can play together. The young child can play. I mean, so that kind of bring even those who cannot play soccer, like those who are on the heavy side, you know, they can play. They have positions. I mean, the sport has position for every individual, regardless of your physical look. You understand? You just need to know what position you can play. And then you're welcome into the sport. So it kind of make everyone active. So I mean, that's to say it's well accepted. For numbers, we started around. We started with 21 schools in Lagos, and that 21 schools that we started with gave us about 42 teams. And that 42 teams that we started with gave us about 200 plus players. But then, today, we are talking of over 15 plus thousand.
Wow.
Right? Now, from Lagos State, now it is already in about 24 states.
That's fantastic.
Between that period and now. So talking about acceptability, is a sport that is the fastest growing sport right now in the world. And Nigeria is leading in Africa in terms of the growth of this sport.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
So that's a record we've broken.
That's a plus, yeah.
I mean, thanks to the leadership of this federation bringing up, thanks to the leadership. So I mean, that's to say that there's a very big vision, and these people are not joking. And thank God we have the president here saying it now, because if it was someone else who really didn't know about the sport or who really don't have the passion, there's little you can do.
Exactly.
Right? But you can see now that the kind of rate we are growing at, I mean, it's amazing. There's so many things that we will not be able to have time to talk about here. And when you hear them, you wonder, how is this really happening in anywhere else in the world? I mean, Nigeria, we're blessed.
What about challenges?
Oh, that was it. It was being played.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Again, the biggest challenge is awareness, right? Because as I've said, American football. First thing.
I'm still wondering, what is it like?
Exactly, right? So the biggest, and maybe that's also why we're here, right? To make sure people understand that it is a sport that, and I just wanted to add something what Lauren said. I mean, let's pick maybe the top 2 sports in Nigeria. Soccer and, well, I keep saying soccer. Sorry, football and, football and basketball maybe.
Okay.
Right? There is a level of skill you need in those sports that makes them, to a large extent, there's some limitations, right? But at the core of flag football, it's just fundamentally able to catch and able to pull a flag.
Okay.
That's as simple as
And
it
run.
is. Yeah, run.
That's
right?
what we are saying.
Yes. So it's just once you can catch, right? So somebody throws a ball. Okay, I need to catch the ball. That's this primary skill I need. Or
so who will be holding the flag?
yeah, that's the no. The flag is on your waist, right?
Okay.
Right. So the flag is on your waist, and so if you catch the ball, then the opposing team, their goal is to go and pull the flag from your waist.
So I start running.
And yes, so once they pull the flag from your waist, like the game has stopped. So wherever they pull it from, the game starts again. So it's a start and stop game.
okay.
Start, you stop, start, you stop. And so,
So you hold on to
I'm
the
getting
ball
the picture
till you
now.
get to the goal.
yeah,
Somebody
so
pulls your flag.
your goal is to get
You don't have
to
to
the goal line.
push the ball to anybody.
No,
You have
once
to run very
once
fast.
you catch the ball, your goal is to go and score.
Run very fast.
The other
So that
team's
they
goal
don't
is to
catch
pull
you
your
and
flag.
remove
Yes,
the flag.
exactly. So
Okay, I'm getting the picture
flag
now.
removal is the equivalent of like the real game where they hit you. So they've taken away the contact component completely and made it very simple. Just pull the flag.
Yeah.
And so that simplicity and the fact that we can use existing infrastructure. You don't need a soccer field
Okay.
or any field and just line up
Yeah,
5 people, 5
exactly.
people. You're playing, right? So for us, it's not hard to say, okay, we'll give a school 2 balls and 10 flags. They're playing, right?
Yeah.
Now, yes, there's skill. Now you have to line up a certain way. You have to run very interesting ways. That will be next level. But anyone that knows, oh, I can just do my kacha and throw and catch, right? That makes
And I can
the sport much exactly. So it's very fun as a result of that.
Yeah.
What you spoke about, so awareness is the biggest challenge we have. Because awareness in Nigeria means, it's hard for anyone to fund something they don't even know
Exactly.
and they don't understand.
Yeah.
Which is why we started in 2019. I can be more explicit. I remember when we started at Akeredolu, because of the position I was in, being who I was then, I'm like, well, I'm in the best position to drive this grassroots thing, or leverage networks, leverage all the influence we have, and then hopefully we'll build to a point where once we're out of government, this thing is on autopilot and is sustainable, right? Because we almost had to play the role of federation, which ultimately we ended up becoming. We just got our provisional recognition as a federation for Nigeria.
Wow.
And so now we're perfecting to get to full status. And so it's one of those things you're saying, well, we ended up doing what we didn't end up thinking we would be that, but somebody had to play that role, because again, it's a sport. If you don't do it, nobody will be like, it's like rugby. I mean, rugby has not really seen exponential growth, and it's been around for years. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So for us to do this quickly, it's just been, well, we're all passionate individuals that are running the organization. I know someone that's not here, Shea, who was also a player. He played in the UK. A lot of us were all very passionate about wanting to do the sport, and just let's just put our money where our mouth is and grow it. We're happy with where we are. So funding is a big issue. Awareness is the biggest issue.
Okay.
And then again, right now, the acceptance has been great.
Wow.
Awesome.
Once we are able to break those hurdles and get more people hearing and playing, hopefully, Nigeria makes it to the Olympics, and we're like, wow, we're in the Olympics. Those sort of things are the kind of triggers to get as many people involved. Yes.
Okay, let me ask you, what are the criteria to push the team into Nigeria, Team Nigeria into Olympics?
Okay, so yeah, I can talk on that one. So first thing, the recognition from International Federation is very key.
Okay.
There's International Federation for American Football,
Yeah.
which is IFAF. So already we have that recognition.
So sorry to cut you there.
Yeah.
So flag football is like a sport, is like a kind of football under like a subsidiary of the American football, something like that.
It's a variation. There are like 5 variations of American
So
football.
American football has different variations.
Okay, all
So,
right.
but there's one international federation,
Okay.
and there's also one federation that's at the country level, one federation.
Okay.
At the world level, one
federation.
international federation.
Yeah,
So
right,
that's the way it works. So for the Olympics, as you said, for us to be able to get there, the international federation is required to be able to recognize you as the one representing them in that country, right? So which we already have secured. We got that way back, right? Then the Olympics, the NOC have to also recognize,
you.
which we have also secured also. All right. So the next thing is to put the national team together, right? Ensure that you have your team. So which we have just concluded, right, for the national team. So you need to now play at the Africa Continental Games, which is going to be in August, and we're already
This year.
Yeah, in about 2 months or 3 months.
Where is that?
Yeah, and that's going to be in Egypt. Right, that's the qualifier. So after that, just to get rankings.
Just like we have our qualifiers for the
So, and then just to add, there will also now be multiple international federation sanction games, so teams can start getting ranked. Because the expectation is for LA, we're hopeful, and of course, where the policy will play, the number of teams that will be qualified from Nigeria, from Africa. We're either on top or at least we're in the discussion. The goal is to be on top, because I don't know if you know, Nigeria, of the minority groups in the actual American football in the NFL, Nigeria is number one. There are almost 150 plus Nigerians that play professional American football. So it would be a disgrace if they're like our own country where we are shining, you know, so many of us
Our stars are
there.
good things
Yeah,
there.
so many of them, even, I mean, we can say it confidently, many of them have been on calls with us like, look, Nigeria, we cannot carry last. We have been bragging too much about us. So,
Yeah.
they are supporting
So
us
what
in many ways too.
now they have. I was coming there. They have the experience, they have the wherewithal, they have the connections, they have the know it all, so to speak. So what's are you looking at, you know, to have, because this is the first time, you know, it's a different ball game when I'm cooking in my own house. It's a different ball game when I want to go and be a chef for Mr. President. You understand? No matter how good a cook I am, I need to have the professionalism. So what are you doing to make sure that you have their input, you know, for your readiness, you know,
So
for
first thing we
the
did,
international
was again, one of the first things we did was again, we reached out. So quite a few of them have come together and they constitute what we are calling our board of advisors for Team Nigeria.
Okay.
So currently there are about 15 maybe, 15 NFL players that are active on that board. They're helping us with fundraising, having no strategy, you know, just coming in. Our GM is actually a current player for the New York Giants. So he's an active NFL player. Right now, what we know is so far from their level, because they're a professional league, they are not allowed to play on national team. There's a negotiation here because
we have our international, like we call our Super Eagles, we call them from everywhere and everywhere.
But for now,
And that's what I wanted to ask.
we don't know
Are
what's
they
going to
allowed?
happen.
Because I know that when we want to play football, we go and call them from Arsenal from.
So we don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Right? But even with that, we're still saying that, look, our guys in Nigeria, because again, it's flag and the main one are very different sports. So it's a slightly different skill set because in their own case, they're expecting you to hit them or to hit somebody. So how you play that is also just, the fundamentals are the same, but when you're actually in,
there's a slight difference.
and it can be significant, right? So there's still a process of them having to turn off, I'm hitting somebody, to I'm only pulling the flag.
Okay.
Right? So right now, our understanding is, so what they're interested in is, let's build the local guys and let's build them to the point where they can even play Team USA. Because Team USA are like the best team in the world.
We'll beat them. We'll beat them.
Exactly. You know?
Don't worry.
So
we'll beat them.
you know that now, no matter how good, you know, I could be, there should be an interaction. Do you think? Are you thinking in the line of organizing maybe friendlies? You understand, so that they can have a feel of what you know
Exactly.
when. See, finish day for me and you. You understand?
correct.
But when another person comes, I've not. You get what I'm saying? To have a feel of what's going to happen. Are you thinking
You're
about in that
talking
line?
about the national team?
Yes, the national
Like
team.
competing with
Having something like a friendly match with international.
And I'll let Lawrence
teams.
also expand, but if I can speak more around, because Africa as a whole, our presidents are tight, right? Because we are so new in the sport, we're still trying to build the sports here. So there's this very strong bond. In Africans, again, we're not individualistic, we like to come together. So the scenario we have is a lot of African presidents, this discussion are being had. So our good friends from Cameroon, they've always wanted to even come and play as at last year. So Ghana, we're looking at specifically Cameroon, Ghana, and Kenya
Exactly.
are countries that are ready, and we're already now specifics on when those will happen. I can let Lawrence talk about that, but from that level, yes, a lot of engagement is being
Exactly.
looked into.
Exactly. A lot is being looked into from what President said. So lineup of games, I can go into more details on that. So for us to be able to play the qualifiers, which is in June, we're doing local friendly, just like you. I know you said see finish, right? That was but yeah, we're doing local games on that level. But after that, once we're done with Egypt, we're playing most of the countries President just highlighted. Yeah, we're playing most of those ones for friendlies.
Okay.
So sorry, because I want to get it. So your first, because Team Nigeria now, they're basically from the grassroots, basically our own, which is fine, which is a plus, you know, because they'll put their heart into what they're doing. So their first international experience is going to be with Egypt, right?
Yeah. So before Egypt, let me say before this Egypt that we're going to, some of them have played before, not as a team. but you know, based on their individual team they've been on, especially talking about the tackle.
In Nigeria now,
yeah.
also there's the tackle on their leagues that in Abuja and Lagos, and a lot of players came from those existing leagues.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
they most of them already have that playing experience with, you know, they already have that exposure to play. Even there are people that played in the US, there are people that played in Canada, there are people that played, you know, so they are not just like people who just came up from the, and then they just want to go. Yeah, it's already, most of them already have this international experience. Just few of them may not. But of course, the blend is already, you know, there. Yeah.
Great.
So by the grace of God, we're looking at Olympic 2028.
Yes. Well, first we're looking at winning the Continental Championship.
In June.
Oh, that's the one in Egypt.
Yes, it's in Egypt, right? So we're playing multiple teams. We're hoping, I don't know, well, those are details that we're expecting. How many countries are going to make it? But yes.
So how prepared are we?
We're talking about preparation.
Yes.
We are. I think you came to the trials in Lagos, which cover for the West. You know, so that Lagos trials was for all the West and Southwest also. You know, so people came. You saw the amount of people that are there. So you saw how we rigorously did that scouting to ensure we get the best out of it. So that's part of the preparation, getting the top of the top. So that's what we did in Abuja before Lagos. You know, that covered for the North. Ensure we have all participation from the North come assemble in Abuja for that trial. So the number was also good. So we picked the best. So that selection process has been done. Right. So we are going into camp now with a 15-man squad from the male and a 15-man squad for the female. Right. So we'll have the female and male participation at the qualifier level, so that we can also present. If we win, hopefully we'll be able to go to the Olympics together. Right. So that is already going on. We'll be dropping players as we go in the camp, so that we can trim the number down.
Exactly.
So only have the best players in Nigeria make that final roster.
Those who deserve to be there.
It's a 12-man roster,
yes. So now financially, yes, we're also trying to see how we can get those support.
Yeah, I was coming there.
So
what was the support system like?
Yes, that's what I mean.
So
how, you know, how can you get, you know, sponsors, stakeholders?
Exactly, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will listen to this and they would be really interested.
So I think, you know, for us, and that's been the biggest growing pain. I can say for the first 4 years of the organization, we're basically bootstrapping. So myself, our vice president, funding, of course, as I said, influence is to beg one senator, beg one House of Rep member, please support us. You know, that opportunity came then. But where we're at now, at least we've been having tremendous support from the NFL players.
Okay.
And that is really supporting the national team development. And also we've been having support with another organization, the Cleveland Browns, which is an NFL team, a franchise in the US, that's also helping us. But of course, not enough. Because for us to build out what would be a very, very sustainable ecosystem for driving the national team development, it must start from the kids playing from 5. You know, there must be a league for them, for U12, U14, U17, U21. So we know we have this pipeline. Even, you know, I know this year was supposed to be with Nuga.
Yeah.
So we're trying to even now showcase
festival.
the sports festival
as well,
so that we can start to look at getting into universities. So because we need to make sure that pipeline is built. That needs a lot of funding. So of course we've started to reach out to a lot of people. Federal government, you know, talking closely to the Minister for Youth, talking to the NSC. The NOC says there's going to be some level of support. So it's just reaching out to all of our contacts.
Well done. Oh my God, I have 1 million and one question, but our time is far spent. But finally, where do you see flag football in Nigeria probably in the next 5-10 years?
It's going to be the second biggest sport.
Wow, I like that optimism.
The president doesn't want to
That's
say.
optimistic.
I know president always try to be careful,
Nothing can beat soccer.
He always try to be careful.
I'm Nigerian. Don't be mad at me for calling this soccer. Nothing can beat soccer. Let's. I think I've
Okay, yeah, so you're fair enough.
Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. Soccer is number one.
But there's, like, again, we're using the same fields, right? We're not building any fancy infrastructure. So yes, easily it's going to be the second biggest sport in 5 years.
Wow.
That's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine the amount of players we already have within a few years.
Yeah.
And you can imagine that even by rating is the fastest growing sport right now in the world.
Well, to give context, basically 60,000 naira 70,000 naira. You have the balls, you have the flags. They are playing.
All right, maybe before you go for Olympics, we'll have you again. Maybe after Egypt, we'll have you again.
Exactly.
You know, to come and talk about this football and alpha again after that experience. Thank you so much. We've been talking so much about the flag football in Nigeria, and our guest in the studio today, we've had the president of the Nigerian American Football Association, NAFA, Babajide Akeredolu, and the Secretary General of NAFA, Ojaide Lawrence, in the studio with us. We've been talking about flag football in Nigeria, the challenges, opportunities, and the way forward to Olympics 2028. Thank you so much for being our guest this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we'll go on a very short break. When we return, we'll be here for you.